All right, today we're cracking open the toolbox for really, truly understanding your customers. We're going to be looking at some powerful methods pulled straight from the ISO 1009 standard. So if you're a quality professional and you're tired of the voice of the customer just being a buzzword, you are in the perfect spot. I mean, this is the big one, isn't it? It's the million-dollar question. We all think we know what our customers want, but how can we be sure? How do we get past our own assumptions and gut feelings and into a real data-driven understanding? Well, that's exactly where this toolkit from ISO 1009 comes in to help us out. So let's dive right in. So our journey starts with something that's simple but incredibly revealing when it comes to customer loyalty. The very first tool we're pulling out of the kit is the Net Promoter Score, or NPS for short. NPS really just boils down to one single question. On a scale of 0 to 10, how likely are you to recommend us to a friend or colleague? That's it. Your final score is just the percentage of your biggest fans, we call them promoters, minus the percentage of your unhappy campers, the detractors. It's beautifully straightforward. And you can see that breakdown right here. Anyone who gives you a 9 or a 10, those are your promoters. They're your loyal evangelists spreading the good word. 7s and 8s, those are your passives. They're content, sure, but they're not exactly shouting from the rooftops about you. And then you've got scores from 0 to 6, your detractors. These are the folks who could actually hurt your brand. The whole game is to grow that promoter group and shrink the detractor group. So why is NPS so incredibly popular? Well, the benefits are just crystal clear. It's super simple to roll out, it's easy for customers to answer, which means you get more responses, and it lets you follow up with people lightning fast. Plus, you can adapt it to almost any industry you can think of. Okay, so let's imagine you've done it. You measured your NPS, and you got a score of 30. That's a great start, but it's still just a number. It tells you what your loyalty level is, but it tells you absolutely nothing about why. And to really move the needle, you've got to understand the drivers behind that score. For that, we need to grab our next tool. And this brings us right to the Kano model. This is where we go from just measuring satisfaction to actually understanding it. The Kano model is all about digging in and finding the specific features that either make your customers happy or, well, not so happy. At its core, the Kano model is about sorting customer preferences into a few critical categories. It helps us figure out which features are just basic, non-negotiable expectations, which ones give us a nice performance boost, and, this is the exciting part, which ones can absolutely delight our customers in ways they never even expected. This slide nails the main idea perfectly. On one side, you have expected qualities. These are the absolute basics, like a hotel room having a bed. You don't get excited about it, but you'd be furious if it was missing. Then you've got the delighter qualities. These are the unexpected extras, the little thoughtful touches that create that wow moment and build some serious loyalty. Using the Kano model can be a total game changer, especially for product development. It makes sure you cover all the must-haves, but it also pushes you to discover those hidden needs, to find the features that will genuinely blow your customers away. Okay, so the Kano model worked its magic. You've identified a potential delighter feature. That is fantastic. But a brilliant idea is, well, it's just an idea. Now comes the really hard part. How do you translate that customer wish into actual concrete engineering and design specs? How will you make sure that voice of the customer doesn't get lost in translation? Well, that's where our third tool comes in, Quality Function Deployment, or QFD. This is the structured, disciplined process for turning what customers want into how you're actually going to build it. QFD is this really systematic method for baking customer priorities right into your product design from the very beginning. You'll often hear it called the house of quality, and that's because the main chart you build literally looks like a house. It maps what customers need against your design specs. And here's the most crucial part. QFD creates a clear, traceable line from what the customer says, the what's, to what your technical team needs to do, the how's. It's the bridge that closes that huge gap between market research and actually building the thing. And the payoff for doing this is huge. You see better customer satisfaction right from day one. It forces better communication between marketing, engineering, and manufacturing, which means way less of that expensive rework and a faster time to market. I mean, it's a win-win-win. So the QFD process went great. Your team now has several excellent design concepts that all meet what the customer is asking for. Awesome! But now you've got a new challenge. How do you objectively pick the single best option to move forward with? For that decision, we pull out the final tool in our kit, the Pew Matrix. This is your go-to method for making a smart, rational, data-driven choice when you've got multiple good alternatives. A Pew Matrix, sometimes called a decision matrix, is really just a fancy scorecard. You start by deciding on the most important criteria for the decision. Things like cost, how durable it is, or ease of use. Then you give those criteria a weight based on importance, and you score each of your options against them. The best idea just bubbles up to the top. Let's just look at this quick example. We've got 3 design options. We've decided durability is what matters most, so it gets the highest weight. We score each design on each factor, do some simple multiplication, and add it all up. The design with the highest score is our winner. It's logical, it's transparent, and it's based on data, not just opinion. And this is exactly why the Pew Matrix is so effective. It gives you a structured way to make a tough call, and it takes emotion and personal bias out of the equation. It's fantastic for getting a team to agree, it's fast, and hey, it can even help you see a way to create an amazing hybrid solution by cherry-picking the best parts of different options. So there you have it, 4 different tools that, when you line them all up, create a complete and seriously powerful toolkit for listening to and acting on what your customers are telling you. And what's really amazing is how they all connect into this seamless flow. You start with NPS to get a baseline on loyalty. Then you use the Kano model to dig into the why behind that number. QFD helps you translate those needs into real design specs. And finally, the Pew Matrix lets you pick the absolute best path forward. It's a complete workflow, from insight all the way to action. So that is our toolkit for mastering customer perception. And the question I want to leave you with is this. Looking at this whole process, where's the biggest opportunity in your own organization? Which one of these tools are you going to use first to really turn up the volume on your customer's voice? Thanks for tuning in.